Christiana's Psychic Cafe, the first one of 2014. I'm so excited and I'm so glad to have you with us. We have a fun show today. In just a moment, I'll be bringing on Maggie Lukowski. That's Maggie Moon Tarot. And we have so much to talk about. And yes, we will be taking your calls today to do free readings for the new year. So let me give you the number right now. Let me introduce Maggie first, but I'll put out the call for you to call. Get ready to do that. Think about what you'd like to know. And get ready to call 615-692-1262. And with that, let me say hi to Maggie Lukowski. Thanks so much for being here on the Psychic Cafe. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Now, I have so much I want to talk about. I was just on your website, in fact, and you have a fabulous website. So I have some questions I want to ask you. But first, if you'll indulge me, I want to share this with you and with everyone who's watching. Do you know what this is?
It's not a passion fruit, no.
It's star fruit, a carabola. And when you cut it, if you cut it this way into little slices, they make 5-pointed star slices. And they're really sweet and juicy and delicious. So here's my awesome story, okay? And I'm from the Northeast. I live in Florida now, but I'm from the Northeast. And so here it is January. I'm outside working in my garden. That's miraculous enough. And my neighbor comes and says, "Do you like star fruit?" And I said, "Well, yes, I do." And she said, "Well, in my backyard, there's a tree. Just go and pick some." So I went into her backyard, and there's this one big tree, and it was all this color. I couldn't even see the individual fruits. There were so many. And so I picked some, and I ate one right away, and I realized I am 51 years old. This is the first time in my life I have ever picked a fruit off a tree and eaten it. How awesome is that?
That's amazing. How does it taste? Is it sweet or?
It's very sweet and very juicy and it's got a tropical flavor. It's not heavy like mango or papaya. It's a little citrusy, but mostly light and sweet, I would say.
Oh, that's a beautiful fruit.
Yeah. It's an amazing thing. And I knew they were in stores, but I'd actually never seen it on a tree. So I thought that was really cool. And just, it was like a real moment of gratitude for being in a place where something so mundane, normal, but at the same time miraculous could happen. So I wanted to share that with you. Now that we got that out of the way, Maggie, I was on your website and I see that you are a tarot reader. You do work by email and by phone. One of the questions I always like to ask my fellow tarotists is, how did this happen? It's such a weird job. It's my job, and I think it's a weird job. How did you get into tarot? How did that happen?
Well, I grew up in Washington, D.C., and in an apartment building, and there was a lady from Romania, and she read the cards. My first job was a dog walker, and she had cards. And we were in a kind of an eclectic neighborhood, a lot of people from different countries, and I was fascinated. And then it was some years later, maybe in my early 20s, that I picked them up again, because I was more of an intuitive and picked up on people's feelings. I was pretty quiet, didn't really feel like I fit in a group. But then I picked up the cards again right away. But then the Mother piece, that was my meditation deck for my personal meditation.
Now, what year would that have been?
Probably the Mother piece might have been late 70s, early 80s. I'm not sure when that was.
So really just as it was coming out.
Right, yeah, I think it was pretty new. So, but she had a deck, the lady that read for me, she had a deck that was more like cartomancy, maybe a little Lenormand type, but it was not quite tarot, but very similar, very similar. And it was a real old deck, I remember.
Mm, mm. So, what about making that transition from being a tarot hobbyist to being a professional tarot reader? How did that happen for you?
Well, I've read throughout the years, but I always had my a regular job, a regular 9 to 5 job. But then I retired early. I worked for a corporation, IBM, and I had an opportunity. I was 55 at the time, and I could retire early. So on age, not years, but I thought, well, we'll downsize. We can do that. And that's when I got serious about really making it a full-time business rather than a part-time business. So that's when I got excited about doing it and just started to do it locally. I love to do parties. I love to do terrace salons. I love to do fairs. I like to read on, in person, on the phone, email. So I'm a scanner. I don't like one particular type, so I just fell in love with it. But I've used it for a personal tool all my life for meditation. And I really love the series that you did, Kim Wilborn's The Telesummit, and you did on the moon card. But what I really liked about that was different people took a card and talked about the card. There was a little meditation, and it really got you into the card. So that's how I've used it throughout the years. If I wanted to create, I could be the Empress, and I would take that card out, and that would be my card. So that's how I personally use it for myself, although I do read for myself. A lot of mine is meditation, manifesting.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's what I was going to say, is, that concept of saying, okay, I need to be creative, and so going to the card that means that for you, in your case, the Empress, and kind of bringing that energy in, I call that tarot magic, flat out. And, this is such a good time of year to do that, to really look at. In fact, in a blog post I wrote recently, I asked people to look through the deck and pick out every card that has an energy that they want in their life in 2014.
That's a fabulous idea.
Simple, but fun, And then once you get the cards, it was interesting to me. I wasn't thinking about it, but it was 12 cards that I ended up getting. I counted them. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool, in that there are 12 months to the year, and I'm talking about the year, and I sort of looked at the different cards and what they had in common and how they were different, and sort of played with them in my head for a while. Someone else who had read the post and did the exercise said he was impressed that he had chosen 22 cards, which, of course, 22 cards to the major arcana, and 22 being a master number and all of that. So he thought that was cool. So it's it's a very free-form exercise, but it's a fun thing you can do. Now, I think, you and I think, first met on Facebook, but the first time we spoke was when I was a guest on your Blog Talk radio show that you have with my good friend Jean-Marie Pullman. Tell us about that show. I was just so impressed with your energy, as well, of course, as Jean's on the show. Tell us about it. What's it called? What do you do? Tell me everything.
Okay, it's on Blog Talk Radio. It's called Personal Empowerment for Your Soul. Jean-Marie Pullman and I were co-hosts, and it's on Attune Magazine Network. And we have people on, we feature people that have, we talk about what personal empowerment is to them. I think when you came on, you talked about the empowerment of gratitude and compassion. And,
right.
And you incorporated that concept into, what you've done. And we have people come on talking about their challenges, their successes, what they've gone through, and, and tools that they've used to make this happen for them. So, for me, personal empowerment, for everybody, it can be a different thing. For me, it's being open-hearted, being present in the moment, being able to desire something and put feeling to it. It's being able to decide and choose how I want to live. It's gratitude. So for everybody, it's different, but it's how we apply it in our lives. And tarot is, an empowering tool. It's one of the tools we have to, when people come for readings, to actually empower them to look at what their question is and make changes. Look at what options there are, and then maybe go off with some homework on saying, okay, I've got some things to look at, and feeling like they can do something, that they have power. And it can be words. Words are very empowering to me. Altars, I love altars. That's a very empowering thing. So we have a great time. Jean and I have a great time. It's great energy. And I've met so many great people, nice people, but also it's just every show you're just blown away with where someone's come from, what tools they're using, their talents, the difference they make. And then all of the listeners, also, my phone was blinging. I had it on in case we had to call my web. I was having problems with my webcam earlier. And just the listeners in the chat room, sharing what their stories were. So, and then you never know that on shows, and they're archived. So we're on every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But you never know when someone will watch a show and they're going through a rough time, and something will really mean something, can change their life.
Wow, that's fabulous. So, I'm going back here and I'm thinking about you working in the corporate world, and all that time. I mean, did you have a tarot deck in your desk? I mean, how did that all work for you?
No, I didn't bring one to work, but I did it, outside of my job. Although I could have, because we had, at the time I was in, there were a lot of day traders, so everybody was day trading. That's when the stock. So you had a lot of, and I did work from home for many years, so that was a nice luxury too. But I didn't bring it into the office. Now in California, I should say, when I did work in California, it was a more laid-back environment. And I did have some cards there. I worked for a World Trade Group, so that wasn't the traditional corporate.
Sure. I have had so many students who are in the corporate world who do keep a tarot deck in their desk, and on their lunch hour they are busy with their friends, and it just kind of happens. So it's tarot is in a lot of places you wouldn't think it would be. So we are ready to do New Year's readings. If you have a question about your life, if you want to know something about what's coming up for you in 2014, it is free, and we are ready now. All you have to do is call 615-692-1262. And in the meantime, I wanted to go back and talk about the Mother Piece. Do you still use Mother Piece?
I use it for a meditation. In fact, I have it on my altar. And I use it. My main deck now is the Gaudet Tarot. Joanna called it her deck. I had gotten the original majors when she had published them, had self-published them, and then when she did the complete deck, I use that mainly for my meditation. I also use that as a reading deck, and that's a preferred deck when I go and read in public. I'll have several decks so people can choose.
And people can choose.
Yeah, that is a preferred deck. Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, really.
That's so pretty. So we have a caller on the line. Hi. Yeah, who's this? Caller? Hello? Huh.
They're still there. Hello, caller. Can you hear us?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, we had a caller.
Well, maybe they'll call back.
Yes, if you just called and you want a reading, I am so sorry you had a problem, but please call back at 615-692-1262. And so Gaudet Tarot, it's a funny thing. I met Joanna at Watts. She and I were both at the Wisconsin area Tri-State Tarot Symposium back in like 2007 or whenever that was. And she was working on her deck then, and we talked about it some, and I was so impressed with her and with her images. But for some reason, I did not purchase the deck until I saw that Llewellyn was taking it out of print. I bought two, an heir and a spare, and brought them to a tarot class, and now like half the people in this class are working with this deck. And my problem, I'll tell you what my problem is with it. I absolutely love it. I love the art. I love the energy of it. But the scenes are so specific. It's hard for me to get out of, okay, this card is about shopping for vegetables. When, of course, it's not about shopping for vegetables at all. That's just, how she's illustrating the archetype, and it makes sense. But I have a hard time getting past that. How does that work for you?
I fell in love with it. I use it. I was looking for a very earth-based deck at the time, and had looked at some, and the Druidcraft was one. But I fell in love with this, and I resonated with it. It's contemporary. It's multicultural. Those are the things that resonated with me, and just. But I use it for different types of readings. I have a lot of decks, like we all do, and different decks for different readings for different people and different questions. So this is a very deep deck, and this is the deck that when people are really working, I find when they're working through issues, career, things, really deep issues, this can work really well. So it's one of my favorite. In fact, this year, 2014, is the year, a 7-year in numerology, and this card, this is the canoe, which is the chariot.
Chariot,
so,
right.
Right. So, and the spiritual seeker we're in a 7-year, and that's a spiritual seeker, and it's all about focusing and, doing our work, and people that are writing their books. This is a great year for that. But it's also going in and doing the inner work.
Right. So we have a caller. Hi, caller. How are you? Hello.
I'm good. Hello. How are you?
Very well. Thanks so much for calling today. Well, now let's see. You're our first call today, so we got to figure this out. Maggie, let's tag team. We'll have her ask her question. Do you want to dive right in, and then I'll come in and follow up at the end, or do you want to go in the other order? Which way do you prefer?
Either way. I can go first.
Okay. Okay, I'll let you dive in, and then I'll come in. And so, caller, go ahead. What would you like to know today?
Hi, Maggie. It's Nita.
Hi, Nita. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Great. I actually wanted to know, so I kind of know Maggie a little bit, but Alex actually came back and I saw him today. And I don't know, I just think I want to know if I say hello or I just let it go completely.
Okay. Well, I'll show you the card I got. The wheel. Okay. And Nita, I think this is a time where you're moving on. This is a different season now. And you're moving forward. And you're really moving forward in a good direction. You've got a lot of things going on. So I think it's time for you to move forward and to kind of release that energy. That's kind of the energy in the past. And although we're tempted to connect a little bit sometimes and reconnect, but what I'm seeing with this card and with the situation is it's just time to move forward. And in the cycle, it's just like, in the fall when the leaves turn, sometimes we haven't even noticed it. They're gone. It's wintertime, but that's the energy that I'm seeing, is just to let it go for right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to jump in. Nita, the way you asked the question, obviously Maggie knows your story, but the way you asked the question, I'm thinking this has been a romantic situation, has it?
Yes, I mean, we were friends, and then, we were romantic, and I cared about the person, but, he's a little crazy.
Well, and I can see that you cared about the person. The first card that comes up for me is the Ace of Cups. Your heart has been open to this person, And here's the thing I get about him. When you say he's a little crazy, this is the way I get it. He can present himself as a completely normal, sane person. And then there are times when he is just filled with all of this conflicting energy. I think that he is a person who always likes change, who always likes to stir things up. I will tell you, Maggie, I also got the wheel in this. He likes to stir things up, and I think there is something about this situation that is incredibly attractive, you know, on a very sort of sensual way. There's an energy between the two of you that is really compelling. But I am with Maggie. I think that no matter how much it hurts, I think you should stay away from this person. I think it's going to be like the cigarette smoker quitting smoking, or the overweight person having to say no to the chocolate cake. I think that it's a hard thing for you to do, but honestly, Nita, when you asked the question, you knew what the answer was, I believe. And as hard and as painful as it is, I think all three of us are in agreement that that's what you need to do. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of know. It's just it's hard when they live across the road and you're like, somebody's got to move here.
Gosh, so you know that's almost like a whole other question. Let's pose this for a moment. And there's a question in the chat room. I've got like my left eye on the chat room. Question in the chat room asking, can we pose questions in the chat room? Yes, you can. So, but let's play with Nita for just a minute here, because here's the problem. There's this energy between the two of them, and they live across the street from each other? That's harsh. So let me pose this question and ask you for an answer, Maggie, and then I'll chime in. How can Nita deal with this? I mean, obviously, yeah, it would be cool if someone moves, but that's not going to happen tomorrow. How can she deal with her neighbor?
Well, I'm going to look at a card, but I'm also seeing, and I'm doing this intuitively, I'm getting justice. And, you know, the justice card is about, and this is on the Rider-Waite deck, Pamela Smith, the commemorative one. This is about really the decisions, kind of our karma, and really making good decisions, making choices that are going to benefit us and benefit other people. And, you know, by living close, you know, where you can look out the window and see where someone's car is parked, you know, that's very difficult. You know, but then because, you know, I see this year of the chariot, of the canoe, it's like we put our mind and determination and focus on, Nita's a designer, very creative, and that's where we kind of put our energies. And, you know, we're drawn to that window. We're drawn to look at that person because, you know, they had our heart. But taking this energy of the chariot and just determination and focus and refocusing yourself. So it is very difficult.
Well, good answer, though. And once again, I got the wheel at random. So that's your card for today, Nita. And the thing that I always think about with the wheel is sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. With this situation, especially, you know, as you've described, and you know, Maggie just put it so poignantly that you want to go look out the window and see if he has company or see his car or whatever. Don't do any of that. But the wheel the wheel reminds us that you may feel miserable now, but you'll feel better later. The wheel always turns. It will get better. Just give it time. Give yourself time to heal, and you'll be all right.
Yeah, he's been gone for a while, so that's definitely helped me heal. But yeah, I'm in a much better place than where I used to be. So otherwise, before I was very triggered, but initially just seeing him after a while is definitely like, oh no,
Sure.
go away.
It seems like he likes to give you just enough hope to keep you somewhere in his periphery. And he enjoys doing that. Believe you me, he does not enjoy doing that because it helps you. He enjoys doing that because he cares about you. He wants you in his life, but he doesn't want to be responsible to you. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And you know, in my mind, that's just not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be in a relationship with them. I'm sort of clear on that, but you know, I do feel compassion for the person, and you know, it's like you said, there is a good person in there. Just you know, I gotta keep him at a distance, and maybe I'll reconnect when I'm ready and be friends, but definitely not a relationship.
Good.
And Nita, I've got one last card, and it's the bear. It's the Lenormand, and what it is a strength. You've got that strength. You've got that, you know, the mother bears. You've got that strength inside you to get through this. And so I just see you going with your strength and diving into all your work that you're doing, and you're going to get through this. You'll come out the other side.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Nita. Thank you for being here at the Psychic Cafe, and thank you for calling in.
Bye-bye, Nita. Thank you.
The line will be open. If you want to do as Nita did, you can give a call to 615-692-1262. And Maggie, we have a question in the chat room from Kelly. Here we go. I have a decision to make concerning getting involved in a radically different arena, one that will be very public and time-consuming. What is our opinion? So I guess the question is, and please check me, Kelly, if I'm not getting this right, chat in and correct me. But the way I read the question, she's considering taking the step that will put her in a different situation. It will take some time, it will take some energy, and she will be in the public. She's wondering, maybe she's wondering if she should do it, and if she does, what advice can we offer her about that, or what do we see about that? And if I didn't quite get that question right, Kelly, clarify, but let's take a look at that, Maggie. What do you think about Kelly getting involved in this arena?
Okay, and what I'd like Kelly to do is, I've got some cards for her, but if she'd like to give her birth month and birthday, and I'll look at what year she's in too and compare that. But I feel like it's really, I'm getting the Ace of Cups, and I feel like it's something that she wants.
Kelly is a he. We're lousy psychics when it comes to gender. Kelly is a he.
Okay, Kelly. I feel like I'm sorry. I've got the Ace of Cups, and that looks like something that you really want to do. I feel like it's something that has your heart. And I would ask you with this card too, is a lot of times we say we're left brain and say, okay, what is, in our mind, it tells us something. But if you were just to say, put your hand on your heart and say, what does my heart say? And say it out loud, because it comes from your heart, through your throat chakra, out and through your ears, and then it resonates with your whole body. But it looks like it's something that you really want to do, that's an opportunity, and it's something close to your heart. I'm getting...
Kelly's June 1965.
June, what day in June?
Kelly, can you give us a day on that? And Maggie is also a numerologist. She's going to figure out some numerology. While she's doing that, let me look at some cards for you, Kelly.
And then I also got the 8 of Pentacles. So it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of work going on with this. I mean,
Sure.
Kelly's going to be working hard with this enterprise, adding this to it. But I end up, well, go ahead.
12th day of June.
Okay, 6/12. Let me just put that in. 6/12.
Yep. 6/12/1965.
Okay, let me just. Oh wow, Kelly is in a 7-year.
Ooh, and
Wow.
so are we as planet.
Yes. Wow. So that is that's interesting, because it kind of goes with this. I don't know if it's what you're spiritually seeking, if it's something that's really coming from your heart. I feel like it is. You're going to be busy. But I also end up with the Six of Pentacles. So I feel like you are going to be giving something to yourself, but also something to other people. So I think you're going to be giving and receiving in this arena. But with being in this 7-year and you wanting to do this, you have the focus and determination. And you were born. He was born on a 3-day. It's a 12, but it's a 3-day. And 3s are the creatives. They're the people that communicate. They're the multitaskers. So I see success with this, but it will be a lot of hard work. I see hard work with it, but I see a reward. I see a reward as far as you getting back something and giving to somebody else. And I do see you being able to manifest this. I think you can do this.
I completely agree and would add this. There is so much here about timing and patience that there are specific things that you have to do in a specific time frame, and there's not a lot of wiggle room on that. On the other hand, there are some things that are where you have some discretion about your timing. And where that is true, you must be patient. And it looks like that Kelly was having some problems with the audio. So if you didn't get all that, let me know and I'll repeat it. Timing is important. Patience is important. Strike while the iron is hot. And once you start this, there is no turning back. You can't do this halfway. You can't do it for a little while and stop. Once you're in, and you have to be 100% in. I agree with Maggie that this is something that you really want. And so if you're going to do it, but do it. That's really the key. So if you didn't get all that, if you're having audio problems, let us know. We'll repeat it. And I hope you found that helpful. It is interesting. The gender thing is very interesting. It is, I don't know, when you're reading for someone, if you can't hear their voice, if they have a non-gender specific name, or if you don't know their name, do you get a sense of gender? When you're reading for someone, do you have gaydar? Can you tell gay, straight, any of that? How does that work for you?
Sometimes I can. And sometimes I make it just non-gender specific. I talk because, we love who we love, and it's not a gender thing. So I'm very, sometimes I can pick up on genders and the relationships, but sometimes I'm just kind of non-gender specific. But
yeah, well, and that's true as well for me. Although, I did a phone reading for someone recently, and all of the cards that came up right off the bat were all about honoring womanhood, honoring the feminine. And I believed the person I was reading for was a woman, which in fact it turned out to be, but she was transgender and she was just transitioning. And it was so hard for me to sort of say, because, here I'm just talking to this woman, and she's a lesbian. That's the other thing. So she honors women. She was honoring the woman within herself, but also honoring her ability to love women. And it was so interesting to me because I couldn't put all of that together in my head. All I could put together was it is so important to honor the feminine. And that's a hard thing to say to someone who may not be pagan, who may not be a lesbian, who may not really get the idea of honoring the feminine within yourself. But for her, it was huge, that was the first thing that came up, because that was exactly what she was up to. So, yeah, it's an interesting thing. So, and, speaking of that actually brings us back to the mother piece, which was my second tarot deck as well. I started out with Rider and the Yellow Pack, and then I got Mother Piece. And I loved that they were round. And I loved that they were feminist, but by comparison, I like Gaian so much better. Also a feminist deck, arguably.
Right.
But Mother Peace was coming out of that separatist time when women were good and men were bad. Like the Hierophant wearing false breasts, which is the second time I've talked about that card on this station, this network this week, but, whatever. There was a lot in that deck that was that didn't honor the masculine. And that was that whole time period, late 70s, early 80s, the separatist movement, all of that. And it was a necessary thing. But I'm happy that feminist tarot has evolved somewhat to where we can honor the male and the female. Did you find that, Ryan, that's sort of a natural progression from Mother Peace?
Yes. Yes, I did find that. And then, but in the Gaian, I liked the way Joanna did the court cards. Is she mixed the genders up? The kings are the elders, but they're also female and male. And the guardians are the queens, and they're female and male, and same with the pages. So she mixed that up, and that I like that too.
Yeah, I like that very much. It's it's so hard, and I think this is true in any place where there is societal struggle, that when one group of people has been oppressed, it is so hard to empower them, back to the concept of empowerment, without disempowering the oppressor. And on some level, the oppressor needs to be disempowered. But do they? I mean, I don't know. You're the empowerment expert. What do you think about all that?
I don't know. I think people are people. I'm very when it comes to gender, I think in all of us some of us have more of the yin or yang or masculine and feminine. Some of us, are lacking one or the other and need that. So it's kind of a delicate, balance is kind of a dance where it's creative and we're working or tweaking it. And so I think with the genders, it's the same thing. I find a lot of feminine in me. I don't have as much masculine that I need to bring in. So sometimes I will bring, say for instance, in the Gaian deck, the Builder, which is the Emperor, because I sometimes need that kind of energy. I mean, in hers, here he is. And can you see him? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so that's that energy I need to bring in more in my life. Somebody else may have, it may be a male, and he may need to bring more male energy in, or female. So I think, it's depending on the person, how we kind of honor that.
So Kelly's back in the chat room. He's had a hard time with the audio, so I'm going to just try to summarize. And if you get it this time, that's cool. Let us know. If not, we'll say it a third time. I think we were in agreement, Kelly, that you should go for it, that this is the year, this is the time, your birth number, the year number, it all lines up, and you have the desire to do it, you have the mastery to do it. The key, as I saw it, is timing, that there are things that you have to do at particular times, and you got to hit that. There are other things where you have to be patient, and once you're in, there's no going back. Maggie felt that you would be very successful with this. Anything else I missed there, Maggie?
Well, I think you're right about timing, because, that Ace of Cups, it's about our hearts, what we want to do. But it's also the aces are timing, like you say. It's kind of like a limited time. It's a shelf life. It's not there. So I think it is important. And then I did pull an extra card from the Lenormand, and it's a book. And it's about maybe doing some research and really making, I think you made the point of getting things lined up, doing some research for this, really making sure you're ready to go.
Perfect. Okay, we are doing New Year's readings here on Christiana's Psychic Cafe this evening. The number to call in, 615-692-1262. If you're in the chat room, you can chat in your question if you like, or why not pick up the phone, give us a call, and ask us your questions. It's free, And this is, I mean, in my mind, this day is the end of the holiday season. I realize tomorrow, January 6th, is actually the 12th day of Christmas, so it actually ends tomorrow. But I figure the Sunday after New Year's, this is it. The holidays are over. So this is your last chance to get a New Year's reading on this show. So give us a call. And Kelly says, thanks. He got the message. We're all good. And Spirit 7 wants to know, do you see a partner in my life, and how soon would that be? This is the quintessential psychic question, isn't it? What do you see for Spirit 7's love life?
What is Spirit 7's month and date? Would they like to share that?
Sure, Spirit 7, we need your birth date. I will, I'll pull a couple cards in the meantime, but if you could chat in your birth date, that would be very helpful. And here's what I get. I am going to say, Spirit 7, that you have figured out a lot of stuff, whether that's through your own personal growth, whether that's through understanding difficult relationships from the past. You've figured out some stuff. You know things now that you didn't know before. And because of that, I see you able to make wiser decisions. Okay, we've all made stupid decisions in love. If that were a crime, we would all be in jail. But I feel like you're ready to make smart decisions. And because of that, I really do see a great partnership coming. I'm going to guess within 2014, not necessarily this month or next month, but further on in the year. That's what I think. Maggie, what do you think?
I'm seeing that. What I'm seeing as far as timing, and I like to play around with timing. I'm seeing that in the spring there's going to be a lot of fun. They're going to be having a lot of fun out there, doing a lot of fun things. But I guess if I were to really look, it seems like more end of summer, fall is where I kind of see this relationship coming in. But I just see really in the spring and from now just having some fun. And, you know, when we look for somebody, any relationship can only be as good as we are with ourselves. So that's what I see with Spirit 7, really going out and having some fun, really honoring themselves and just really being that person they want to fall in love with. So I'm seeing it's going to be a fun year. I do see somebody, and it seems to be a little more later, but I do see maybe that right person, but I do see some great fun. And,
perfect. Did I give you the birth date?
No.
11/7/1975 for Spirit 7's birth date. So we both agree, Spirit 7, this is the year you could hook up really good. So what do we got for
another 7. Spirit 7 has, maybe that's why, because they were born on November 7th, and then this is a 7 year. So they are in a 7 year. So this, Spirit 7, this is your year. A lot of 7s. And one thing about that, too, when you're in that 7 year, sometimes, you know, it's important to take some time out for yourself. It's really important to kind of, you know, spend some time. And this can be kind of a year of mystery and wonder. And you can kind of feel like an enigma in a 7 year, because sometimes you want to spend time by yourself, and then you want to go out and be social. But that's their year. I mean, with all these 7s. And, you know, it's a magical year, too. 7's a magical number. So
perfect. And Spirit 7's response is awesome.
Great.
Well, I mean, I just had to translate that. I put that in. I think Spirit 7 would condone that. Okay, so the phone lines are open, 615-692-1262 if you want to pick up the phone and call in for your New Year reading. In the meanwhile, we have a question in the chat room. This is from Luminaria Star, and she wants to know what she should do to give her business a boost this year. Do you need her birth date?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, Luminaria Star, if you could give us your birth date, Maggie can work on your numerology. And your question is, what can you do to give your business a boost?
Well, I'm seeing what I'm seeing for a luminary star is I'm seeing planting some new seeds, looking in some different directions, but in planting this, really nurturing it, not putting it out there right away, really protecting it. And I see also about being in community, some more networking along the lines of people of similar businesses, but more in alignment of what their attraction is, what they're aligned to spiritually. And then I get the seeker, but I don't feel like she with this change, I don't feel like she has to just jump out there in the unknown. I feel like she will be leaping into herself, her authentic self, and doing this. So I'm just seeing a sense of planting some new seeds, looking in some different directions with her business, and with some networking, community help, being in community, getting out there and hearing the buzz, finding out. But then also this leap is not so much just leaping out there and there's no net. It's kind of leaping into yourself to what, to where you feel is right. So I feel it. Did she give a birthday or a month?
Yes, we have 1/13/1956, and so happy birthday will be in order very shortly for Luminaria Star, 1/13/1956. And while you're looking at that, Maggie, okay, my friend, Luminaria Star, Knight of Swords, baby. On one hand, I want to say on some level you're already doing it, or you're doing it better than you were. Speak your truth, get it out there. You've been doing, in the time that I've known you, you've been doing more and more, putting yourself out in the public eye and putting yourself out as the smart person, the honest person, the person of integrity. For me, the Knight of Swords can also speak to writing. And I know that you're a brilliant writer. So I wonder if that's a piece of it too. So the first piece of the answer is do what you've been doing, only more and quicker and without any fear and without any hesitation. And number two, consider adding more writing into the mix. Maggie, what you got?
Well, what you've said is perfect because a luminary star is in a 3-year, and 3 is all about how we communicate, writing, speaking. So it's a great year for writers. It's a great year to do that. But what I was noticing is she's got in a 3 years. So, and this is going to be a fun year for her too. But communication is really important, and the writing piece, don't stuff it down. But then when I look at her birthday, she was born on the 13th, and that's a 4-day in numerology. And sometimes 4s are afraid to take that leap. They feel like they have to take one more class. They have to know a little bit more, but they don't. They really know what they know. And being in this 3-year, it's really a green light to say, go and do that. And just don't feel like, you've got to do one more thing. Like you said, she's already doing it. The 4 energy sometimes makes us feel like, we don't want to take that risk. We've got to do one thing. So she's in a perfect year.
Yeah, I completely agree. Okay, very good. So we have a few more minutes. We do have time to take a call at 615-692-1262. And here we go. We have, Luminaria Star says, thanks. See, I have to act out everything.
Thank you for calling in.
Okay, here's one. Life in the last 5+ years has been really trying and karmic, treading water feeling. What do you see for 2014? The birthday, see, people are learning. We've got them trained in the chat room. The birthday is 3/1/1968. Okay, so while you're looking at that, here's what I have to say, first of all, about your last 5 years. Yeah, treading water, stuck in the mud, all of that. But you know what? This is the year that breaks. The reason that it has been like that is you have been, whether you realize it or not, you've been processing something. You've been healing something. And it's taken a long time, and it hasn't felt good, and it's shown up in a lot of areas of your life. But you just got to keep working, keep moving forward, and you will find that this year the energy changes. A lot of this is about you figuring out what is true for you and telling the committee in your head to sit down and shut up. That you know what your truth is, and that's good enough. What you got, Maggie?
Well, I'm getting movement, and you were saying, and you know, a lot of times when we've been in this stuckness, we sit in it. But actually getting up and moving, this is going to be important. Even if we get up off our chair and go to the window and look out and just say the things we see. Whether we get up and put on the music and dance for a few. You know, after a rough year, we got to do some things to get us moving. So movement is really important. I feel like this is going to be a good year. She's in a two-year. And, you know, twos, sometimes you have to be careful because you still be sensitive. You're still healing. But I feel like they have released a lot. They've done a lot of work. They have done the work. And now they have to really look at their heart's desire, what they want to do, and, you know, get quiet sometimes. You know, like you said, the committee in your head, stay out of your head, into your heart. And actually, when you look at the things that you desire, give those feelings, really give those feelings. So I'm seeing movement is really important, I think, this year, is just moving, whether it's doing some physical exercise, whether it's walking, whether it's dancing. I think that's going to bring joy into her life, because I think this year it's going to be bright, but there's still some little rough edges and healthy boundaries that have to be kept and reinforced. So I see that, but I do see a good year.
Absolutely. You know what I love about your reading style, Maggie, is how you are able to offer very sort of simple, practical solutions. Do this thing and you will feel better. And it's like, really get, I see it sort of as an as above, so below thing. You know, that if you dance, and that's a physical thing you're doing right here, real time, but something is happening spiritually when you dance. You know, and you don't even have to think about that or talk about that. If you dance, it will happen. And I just think that's brilliant. I think people must find that extremely helpful. And so does she. She says, true, thanks. Okay, let's see. We have one more in the chat room, and I want to remind people that we can take your phone call, 615-692-1262. Go ahead and pick up the phone and give us a call. We've got about 8 minutes left in the show tonight. But let's go right now. Now, I'm thinking I know who this is. This is Michelle. And she would like to know what we see for her for 2014. Her birthday is September 20th, 1953, I believe. Okay, very good. And so what do we see for Michelle? And, okay.
Well, I'm seeing right now with the numbers, and I'm looking at the cards. She's in a 9-year, and nines are that can be the hermit year where we do take some time out for ourselves. But 9's a year of almost completion in numerology, because we just do the numbers to 9. But it's like, okay, what do I want to take forward? What do I want to leave behind? Maybe even packing boxes. It's really saying, okay, what does she want? And the question was, what kind of year was it going to be for her? And I think it's going to be a year about her. This is going to be, it's going to be what she wants, because I'm picking up the 9 of Earth for her. And I'm also picking up the Guardian of Fire, and that's the Queen of Wands. So I feel like it's going to be a fun year. I feel like she's going to, it's going to be good. She's going to be also cheering some other people along. I feel like she might be a mentor for somebody. Because 9 is also this year, that's a wise soul, that's the old soul that comes in. And so I feel like she might be helping, doing some mentorship or helping somebody else. But I feel like it's going to be her year as far as maybe she's done a lot for others before. That's what I'm seeing. And this is a year where she starts doing some things for herself, putting herself first.
Perfect, perfect. And I would add to that, I see a lot of healing from things in the past that have been very hurtful. And I see that I'm going to make a very specific prediction for you having to do with your love life. I really see good things in that department. I really feel, okay, love life, improvement in 2014. I also feel in 2014, I really liked what Maggie said about being a mentor. This could be in a creative environment. It could be in a spiritual environment. But you have a lot of skills and talents. You have a lot of gifts. And I think that you will be not just the student, but the teacher in 2014. I also, and this is not a surprise, you travel all the time, but I think there will be a great deal of travel for you this year as well. And she comes back, she says, yay, and mentor is correct. So,
Great.
Very good. Thank you for that. And we have one more question in the chat room from Ashley. She says that she's sensing a lot of hope and good things for 2014, so we're supposed to make her smile. And Ashley, if you want to give us your birth date, Maggie will do your numerology. And in the meantime, let me start. I think that your life this year, Ashley, is going to be much happier socially. You have good friends. But Ashley says that she meant more from what she was from other people's readings, that other people's readings were hopeful. So she wants some of that hopeful stuff too. But you know what, Ashley? You can be hopeful about your own life here. There's every reason. Maggie, let me tell you, her birthday, September 6th, 1983. She's a young one. And here's the thing. I feel like in this year, Ashley, your social life is going to improve significantly in terms of the people you work with, in terms of your time off, and in terms of your love life, and in terms of dealing with family members. The people piece of your life, which is a huge piece of your life, is going to get so much better in every way, and you're going to have more time and energy to devote to your creativity and the things that you enjoy. Okay, Maggie, go ahead.
Okay. Well, Ashley's in a 4 year, so I see color for her. A 4 year, sometimes when I see that, I see bringing more color into your life, whether it's in your where you live, your clothing. I see, and I do see the friends. I see a lot of friends, and there may be points in this year where she's not quite satisfied. She may think, I don't know. I don't know if I'm getting really what I want. But I'm seeing as the year goes on, it's just like it's all starting to come in. It's like the whole package this year for her, but she's got to take some risks. She's got to take some risks of putting herself out there, because I do see a good community of friends. And so I do see a lovely year. I see a very hopeful year. I see it's a really solid year this year, really stable year. It's a year where she really puts down roots. She can have some really good relationships, people with some really stability, not the ones all over the place. So I like that. I like that in her friends, that they're going to be friends that stay by you, no matter what happens. So I feel that that's coming about too for her. And I use the Vanessa Tarot because Ashley was so much fun. It's just such a fun fact.
So I can't believe it. An hour has passed. We are done. The holidays are over. The new year has begun. MaggieMoontarot.com. You're available for readings by phone, by email. You're available on Facebook, Attune Radio. Everyone check out Maggie. You can see she's awesome. And thank you so much for spending this time.